It's better for you not to be stressed out than for everything to be perfect. Welcome to Brianna Entrepreneur. This video is about being a gracious host. What does that have to do with entrepreneurship? Nothing, but if you're like me, the same energy you put into your business, projects, work is the energy you will put into being a host. This year, I have had guests 8 times. And so that wasn't just the holidays, although the holidays are coming up, which is why I'm making this video now. I have had a lot of opportunities to prepare for guests and to make sure they had a great visit. Sometimes I succeeded, sometimes I didn't. So that's what this video is about. It's basically going to be about, after all these experiences and all the years of experiences since I have had a home, since I've been married essentially, what I have learned and what I have found is important. So I'm going to give you a framework and then a framework of how to think about having guests. And then I will go through what I feel like are the hierarchy of concerns when it comes to your guests. Now, the first thing I want to say is, like I said, I've been entertaining for a long time. I really like entertaining. I like having guests. I like having parties. Since we bought this house, we haven't had many parties, but I did have to get a 4-bedroom because I wanted to make sure I had room to have guests. When I was newly married, I was actually unemployed for a year. So as a new wife, I was all about being a wife and homemaking. I really loved that. When I had guests, everything was spotless, everything was thought out, and I really was happy with how I was able to entertain. Then I got a job. It wasn't as easy. I had to, I still got everything done that I wanted to get done, but it was just a lot of work because I was already at work. Then I had a kid, and at that point it was like, I had a kid and a job, so I really couldn't do it. So I hired somebody to clean my house that one time. And then after I quit my job, and I just was like, I have better things to do than clean up for somebody to come to my house. At that time, it was like a party that we were having. And I just did some of these basics that we'll talk about today, and people still had a great time at the party. So there is a degree of attention that pays off, and then a degree of attention that doesn't matter. So that's what we're going to talk about. Before we get into anything, I want to give you this piece of wisdom. When it comes to having guests, all that matters is that they are not grossed out, stressed out, bored, or hungry. If you can tend to those needs, your guests will have a great time. Beyond that, it's really not important. Sometimes I want to do extra stuff, like somebody came the other day, this last week, and I wanted to clean my carpet. But cleaning the carpet is not actually important. People understand if you have like blemishes on your home. They don't understand when your shower is filthy. So we're gonna get into that. Let's get into the list from top to bottom. As I said, your guests don't want to be grossed out. So to me, the most important thing if people are going to be staying at your house is that the bathroom is clean. The shower that they are using needs to be clean, period. Make sure that shower curtain's not moldy, as mine is right now. The toilet needs to be clean around the toilet, because that's where people can have privacy, right? So they need to feel comfortable. And that's also where they can be nosy. So they need to feel comfortable. So your bathroom needs to be clean, and the guest's room needs to be clean. I don't know which one's more important, probably the guest room. I just feel like they're equally important. Any of this cleaning that needs to be done, you feel like you want to wait till a couple days before so that it's fresh, but you honestly just want to get it done up to a week before and then touch it up as you go, right? I get it, but it's always like more mess than you think it is. So yeah, get started on cleaning. And remember, we're focusing on what matters first. So we'll pick up the stuff that doesn't matter as much toward the end of the video. So you want the bathroom, the guest room, and the trash taken care of. I think in terms of impact, having the trash cans empty has a big impact, as does having your dishes done. Even if you can't clean the whole kitchen, I think you need to try to get the dishes taken care of for 2 reasons. 1, it really does make the kitchen look cleaner just because the dishes are done. 2, you don't want to create too much, like if you already have dishes in the sink and you have clean dishes in the dishwasher, you're just like creating more work while your guests are there instead of like starting off with a clean slate so that you can spend less time cleaning while they're there, more time visiting. In this video, I do say that your house can be messy. And what I really mean is your house doesn't have to be pristine. I guess I'm being kind of hyperbolic by saying it can be messy, it can be a wreck. But some of us get so worried about how perfect things look, and it's really not necessary. We just need to clean up and make sure the house isn't gross. In terms of being gross or not being gross, I think sweeping, vacuuming, and mopping can go a long way. I would put mopping last, but sometimes you like want your house to look clean. Okay, it's okay for your house to be messy. People have messy homes. We all know that, especially if you have a family. I think everybody knows that people's houses be messy. It's fine to have a messy house. It's not okay to have a gross house. Sometimes our carpet can be gross. Sometimes the dust bunnies and the crumbs and stuff, especially if you have little ones. But people understand, again, if you have little ones, like that stuff can be gross. So I think that that's worth doing. And I think that if everything's messy, if you vacuum, that kind of brings, like gives you some level, like a baseline, undetectable sanitation look, or like it kind of looks pulled together. So I do recommend vacuuming, and if you can, mop. My floor can get really dirty and that's gross. So try to mop. I often have to mop. If I have more than one guest, I usually have to mop while I have guests as well. I also think it's a good idea to pay attention to your entryway. So if like my mother-in-law is coming, she comes every week, I clean the bathroom, I clean my son's room because that's where she gets him ready for bed. And I want to make sure the entryway is clean. Everything else can be a wreck, but the entryway, that's how people like, they get a sense of what their time is gonna be like when they step into your house. So make sure your entryway is clean, and you have a little table like I do. I try to take whatever's on the table, just like want to make a good impression right there. Now, other places that get gross in my house are the stairs, because my hair and there's wood. So like if you can, try to remember, and it's something that's easy to forget, but try to remember to clean that up, because I think it's the details that make you seem gross, and the macro things not so much. Like people, yeah, it's great to have your house completely spotless, but you can have a spotless house and have gross details that will still make you look kind of gross. And other things that are less important, clean out the stovetop. Always make sure your house look clean. If you are having guests, you really should try to clean out your car. But again, not a priority, but kind of is a priority. I think it's a priority. Clean your car out. They're going to be in your car. Clean the microwave and clean the countertops. Everything else can be a wreck. It'll be okay. I mean, you don't want it to be a wreck, but like if everything else is not perfect, that's okay. Now, the other thing I realize is sometimes your house doesn't feel clean. You're like, I'm cleaning it, but it doesn't seem clean. And that's because you have areas in your house that have collected clutter that you need to take time to clean up. Right now I'm looking at this nook. It's got Halloween candy, snacks, flashcards. It's got all kinds of random stuff in there. And even if my house is clean, if that's still disorganized, that's gonna make me feel like my house is a mess. So that's something that you can start working on a week or two before, just one day taking time to clean out those little spaces. Okay, I think I've covered cleaning. Make sure the sheets are clean. Next, I will talk about, well, before I move on, I do want to say, if you can, and you also can't do all this stuff, hire somebody. Around here, I don't know who to hire. I tried to do this service and it was like, you can have somebody in 2 months. I'm like, I don't want to do that. So hire somebody to clean if you can't do it. It's perfectly okay, and it will help you to not lose your mind. Next, we're going to talk about food. My biggest thing is I want to know when we don't eat. My husband's grandmother said, I have never seen somebody more worried about food. And that's because I experienced food insecurity as a kid. I don't think I actually didn't have food. It was just like this idea that there wouldn't be enough. And food is something I can control, something I know I'm going to enjoy when I've been bored. I think it's really important to plan, put some thought into what people are going to eat. And I also think it's a good idea to plan some meals at home. Some people just think you're gonna go out to eat all the time. And if I'm a guest and you're making me pay, I don't want to pay to eat 3 meals a day or 2 meals a day. So put some thought into that. My go-to being here in St. Louis is masticholi. I always make a masticholi ahead of time. You can also do a Stouffer's lasagna with garlic bread. You can barbecue, just anything to take off like the stress of having to go somewhere, and having an option if you guys are really tired because you've been doing stuff, an option you can just stay in with, and also to be respectful of your guests' pockets, because in my experience, my guests have usually flown to get here, so they paid for that, or they've traveled and maybe have rented a car. They've driven and have rented a car or something, so I don't want to put an additional burden on them. I usually try to pay for at least one meal if we go out as well. I mean, I'm not rich. Y'all might be rich. Y'all might be rich. You also want to ask them what do they like to have for breakfast, what do they like to snack on, and what do they like to drink. So you can have that. You can buy that weeks ahead of time just because you want them to have something, right? You want them to have something that they can eat without you having to be involved. I also think it's a good idea to plan a breakfast casserole. I do the one that's got the croissant on the bottom, and you do a package of sausage, like 8 eggs, a thing of cheese, and you can add peppers and onions. I think I don't want to do peppers next time, but anyway, that's a really easy go-to, because again, you want people to have something to eat, but you also don't want it to be a burden. And it's nice to wake up and have a meal that's not just cereal. And it's also nice not to be cooking in the morning. You also want to get paper plates and plastic cups, just because, again, you don't want to spend a lot of time doing dishes and stuff, cleaning. So this is one way to cut down on that. And of course, you can have people write their names on their cups so that you don't waste a bunch of those. Moving on to boredom. Okay, I always try to think of things in town that people can do, that we can do. So there's a lot of things to do in St. Louis. When I lived in Fayetteville, North Carolina, no, there was not a lot of things to do. It was hard. I was a part of this meetup group called Young Black Professionals, and we would do things with them if my friends came, but it was hard. But an idea is to have one of your friends come over and you guys, they get to know you through a new person, or get to, something about, they get to experience your environment in one way or the other. I also think game nights are really fun. My friend that visited for New Year's, we did vision boards one night, and we just did paper ones so that she could fold it up and take it home. And you just got to think of something. Don't expect people to tell you how to entertain them, because they don't live where you live. So put some thought into that and make it a great visit for them. Please, the second time I ever flew, we went and visited some people. Me and my roommate went and visited some people from our past, and it was a family, and we did nothing. We did nothing. And they had mentioned us coming back, and I was like, no, I can save my PTO days for something that's actually going to be an experience and not just sitting here. Okay, so we talked about not being grossed out, not being hungry, not being stressed out. I mentioned how things work in your house. I also mentioned communicating. One of my pet peeves is maybe we've been out somewhere and we come back and then a group of people leave and go somewhere. Nobody ever talked to me about it or invited me or explained. I hate being left out of plans. I continue to be when it comes to my in-laws. And I just hate that. So communicate with your guests, let them know what their options are. Even if you feel like everybody's talking about whatever it is you want to do, like make sure everybody is talking about it. Make sure everybody knows what the option is. Communicate meal times, communicate wake up times. Let them know. I don't like being in the dark. That makes me feel stressed. And again, I need to know when I'm gonna eat. So that's why I'm talking about food. And you also can communicate with them ahead of time, make sure that they're prepared for the weather, they're prepared for any activities you're going to be doing, because people don't always think of everything, especially if they have the stress of the travel to also consider. Okay, so I think we touched on all of them: grossed out, stressed out, bored, and hungry. Now I'm going to talk about some additional touches that I like to do. I can't really do, but if you do have the time, here are some things you can do. What I did when I was back a military spouse that first year, if somebody came to visit, I would always have a little note for them, which I still do. I'll have a note that says, "I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming," because they have paid, they have used their vacation days to come see you. So you should be grateful to them for coming. So thank you for coming. Help yourself to anything in the house. If you need to use the master bathroom to poop, you can do that. And for my mom, I had to tell her, you can come into my room, because you know how Black people be. You can come into the master bedroom if you need to. And I also like to include the Wi-Fi information. If I ever get myself together here in the guest room, I will post something that has Wi-Fi information, address, my phone number, my husband's phone number, just so that they have it. They always need the Wi-Fi, so you can add that in your note, or you can, just be preemptive about that. I also used to always have like basically a souvenir. When I was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, I have like a Fort Bragg mug or something like that. And it would have my favorite candy. I love giving things that I love. If you don't really know enough about the person, or you just want to get some small trinket, I like to get things I like. I had a couple friends with birthdays in the last couple months, and I don't know what they like because I don't spend that much time with them. So I gave them a bottle of wine that I like, because it has meaning, even if it's not their favorite. Like, instead of me trying to anticipate what is their favorite, I just give them something I like. And of course, it's not something super expensive. I used to give these gummy bears that I loved from the PX gas station on the military base. So I would do that. I would also give them like something for the trip, like maybe a little thing of hand sanitizer, earplugs. Definitely the place I used to live, they needed earplugs. I might do some other little candy or chocolate, or just something. If I could do it like I really want it right now, I would go get this popcorn mix. It's called like St. Louis Red Hot Riplets popcorn mix that I would get at the farmer's market. I would get that and have that for them. Or tip, if I'm traveling somewhere, that would be something that I would bring and say, this is something from home. You want to give them something like a little trinket or something from where they are to commemorate their experience and to show your appreciation for them making the time to come see you. Another good touch, nice touch, is to leave an additional blanket in the bedroom, put the towels in the bedroom. Make sure you have extra tissue in the bathroom, or paper towels if you have paper towels in there too. Stuff like that, so that they aren't stressed out if they're in the bathroom and they're pooping and they're out of toilet paper. And you're not always gonna stay on top of that while you're hosting. And that's it. That's my whole message on being a gracious host. It's better for you not to be stressed out than for everything to be perfect. So if you can just focus on making sure your guests are not grossed out, stressed out, bored, or hungry, you're gonna do great. Your house can be messy, people can be annoying. I mean, you don't want people to be annoying, but like all that other stuff doesn't matter. Those are like the 4 basic needs of a house guest. And if you're like me, you tend to just overdo it. You want to add all this extra stuff. You want to paint the bathroom before they come, and it's just not important. If it's not going to affect them being grossed out or stressed out, then it's not going to matter. But you also don't want to be stressed out, because nobody likes to be somewhere where the hosts are just having a hard time and aggravated and trying to do too much. And you want to relax. You want your host to be relaxed. And if you can follow the information that I provided, you should be relaxed and you should be able to provide an excellent experience for your guests. If you have any other tips, please leave them in the comments. Please give me a like if you like this information, and subscribe to my channel for more conversation about being an effective, ambitious mom and not losing your mind in the process. Until next time.